Joining me now is California Congressman Ted Lieu, a Democratic member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. So give me your assessment of where things stand this weekend, and how confident are you that diplomacy could still prevail?
Thank you, Alex, for your question. I want to repeat the State Department's call, which is that Americans in Ukraine need to leave immediately. We don't know if Vladimir Putin is going to invade. He may very well invade in the next few days, but if you're an American in Ukraine, you need to leave immediately. And then in terms of diplomacy, we're still trying to use all diplomatic channels to stop an invasion. And what Putin has done is actually unified the United States and our European allies as we stand together to push back against any attempted invasion of Ukraine.
Now, Congressman, I very much respect what you just said about everybody needing to leave Ukraine. That said, I got a contrary assessment on that. Let's take a listen to what retired four-star General Barry McCaffrey told me yesterday about this particular issue, especially evacuating U.S. diplomatic employees.
Why are we pulling out our embassy in Kyiv? This makes no sense. We've got to put more people in there, CIA officers, U.S. Mill Group officers. The ambassador should be in continuous contact with the Zelensky government. The last building in Kyiv that the Russians would purposefully target would be the U.S. Embassy. We didn't pull our embassy out of London during the Blitzkrieg. Anyway, we need a diplomatic, full-bore engagement with Ukraine and Russia throughout the remainder of the week.
So relative to those staffers in the embassy, what's your reaction to what he said?
We are stopping consular services in the embassy. However, there is still core embassy staff remaining there. Most staff are being told to leave and are being evacuated. Again, we don't know what Putin is going to do, but if he's going to start a land war in Europe, then Americans need to leave Ukraine immediately.
What role should the U.S. play if Putin invades Ukraine?
I think the American people need to understand first that Russia has a weak and struggling economy. Their real disposable incomes fell by 11% between 2014 and 2020. Putin has to put in austerity measures. The GDP of Russia in 2020 was less than half that of California's GDP. So you're seeing really a country that's not doing well. And that may be one of the reasons Putin's trying to distract from his economic troubles. At the same time, Russia has this really large military force. And so we need to use all diplomatic channels to try to prevent an invasion. And if invasion happens, then we have to look at not only diplomatic costs, but also economic costs that Europe and U.S. Will impose on Russia.
Okay, let's look stateside here. I'm curious about your reaction to the New York Times report about former Trump attorney Giuliani, who's in talks with the January 6th committee about testifying, but the extent of his cooperation remains unclear. Now, this is someone, of course, who helped lead the effort to overturn the 2020 election. How critical, sir, do you think Giuliani's testimony could be to the committee's investigation? And would he be doing this to gain some level of immunity, potentially, from prosecution?
Potentially, we know from public reporting that he was in those discussions where the former president was thinking of doing something crazy, like seizing voting machines with the military. And we want to know what Giuliani said, what he heard. We also want to know other things that Giuliani might have seen the former president either say or do. What we do know when I was House impeachment manager is that January 6th was not just a one-day thing. There was a whole buildup to this caused by the former president. You had a lot of planning involved, and Giuliani was in a lot of that prior planning before January 6th.
And we have seen plenty of people in Donald Trump's orbit stonewall the committee. We have former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who's been referred to the DOJ for possible criminal charges. You have former aide Steve Bannon indicted for not cooperating. So if Giuliani were to give any measure of substantive information, how big of a breakthrough would that be? Would he be the first of potentially several close Trump allies to cooperate?
Let me first say that the overwhelming majority of witnesses have cooperated with the January 6th committee. The members and staff have done amazing work in that committee. They've gotten a lot of information, a lot of documents. So most witnesses have cooperated. There are a few that have not. It's heartening to hear that Giuliani may very well cooperate. He really has a lot that he could tell the committee.
Okay, let's talk about what happened with former President Barack Obama, whom, as you know, spoke virtually with House Democrats on Thursday. Democrats are grappling right now with stalled legislative agendas, and they're trying to navigate through the midterms and the campaigns leading up to November. But according to Punch Bowl News, President Obama said, quote, Democrats have a tendency to complain about what we didn't get done rather than talking about what we did get done. How was the former president's message received? What do you take away from that meeting?
President Obama is awesome, and he really told the House Democrats and reminded us of all the great things we did. Democrats are for the people. We have an amazing story to tell. We passed American Rescue Plan that helped improve our economy, and that law helped create over 7 million jobs in 12 months, the highest in U.S. history. GDP is up, jobs are up, wages are up, and unemployment is down. And then we followed that with an infrastructure law that's going to rebuild roads, bridges, and highways and get lead out of our water and put rural broadband everywhere and broadband in inner cities. We have to tell that story and show the American people that Democrats are for the people.
Amen to that. Let me just ask you before I let you go, my fellow Californian and Los Angeles resident, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl today?
My hometown team of the Los Angeles Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. No question about it.
Oh, you went there. Excellent. I agree. Let's hope so. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you.